Oh, there was a non-religious man who was admitted to the local hospital, which happened to be run by a Catholic order, and all the nurses were nuns. And one of the nurses was preparing his records, and she asked him who would be responsible for his bill. "Well, I don't have any money," the man told her. "Well, do you have any family?" she asked. "Well, I have one sister who's gotten religion and became a nun, so she's an old maid." "I'll have you know that we are not old maids," the nurse protested. "We're married to Christ." "Well, in that case," the old man replied, "send the bill to my brother-in-law." You guys keep telling me you want me to tell these jokes. Now, sometimes they're real groaners, I know. Oh, yeah, that's some encouragement. Well, I heard you had some raucous good fun with Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson. Is he fun? He's very fun. And we had a fun conversation about just continuing the conversation that we've been on throughout September about prosperity. And so I wanted to squeeze one more in there before we move into our book study. And so some of you have asked me about Metaphysical Bible. So we're going to do some Metaphysical Bible this morning. Are you excited? Woohoo! All right. So this is a classic prosperity story, and as I was preparing this message today, it's really a pretty neat story. So I want to share it with you, and just know we're going to dive into the metaphysical interpretation of it because I feel like it's very relevant to the whole conversation of prosperity. Are you ready? Okay. All right, good. All right. Okay, the story comes from 2 Kings 4, 1 through 7. And here it is. Now the wife of a member of the company of prophets cried out to Elijah, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that he was devoted to God. But now his creditor is coming to take my 2 sons as his slaves." And Elijah replied to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?" She answered, "Your servant has nothing in the house, only a jar of oil." And Elijah said, "Go outside and borrow jugs and jars from all your neighbors, empty vessels, and not just a few. Then go in and shut the door behind you and your sons and start pouring into all these vessels. When each is full, set it aside." So she left him and shut the door behind her and her children. Her sons kept bringing jars to her, and she continued pouring in the oil. When all the jars were full, she said to her son, "Another jug, please." But he replied, "There are no more." Then the oil stopped flowing. The widow went out and told Elijah, and he said, "Go sell the oil and pay your debts. You and your sons can live on the money that remains." Okay, so that's the story. All right, here we go. So Elijah, metaphysically, stands for our spiritual wisdom, our I am nature, our knowing. It's that infinite wisdom within us. And the widow in this story indicates when we go to fear based on appearances. Okay? She's just lost sight of her knowing of what's true. Okay? She's showing up how we can just get really wrapped up in what's happening and forget the infinite abundance that's always available to us. Right? And so when that happens, where do we go? Fear and powerlessness, scarcity. Okay. So we need to look at what needs to be established first. Okay, so, and again, this is about all of us, all right? So see yourself in this story. So see yourself in whatever situation in your life where you might be feeling some scarcity. All right. So what must be established first is represented by what Elijah says next. What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in your house? So what he was asking, and this is your internal wisdom, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Because in the story, he was encouraging her to open her eyes to some possibility. Because when we get afraid, sometimes we just can't see beyond the appearance, right? Okay. And tell me, what do you have in your house? That's our consciousness. Our house. He was asking her, where is your consciousness? Because, folks, that's what gets to be established first if we want to experience prosperity. Because the truth is, there's infinite abundance everywhere. We are infinite abundance, folks. That's what we are. And we teach this, and I know I've said it a zillion times. Life is consciousness. And what do I mean by that? Your consciousness, and according to Unity, is the sum total of your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, the attitudes that you hold. And everything you experience in your life comes through the lens of your consciousness. So you can, when something happens to someone, it's like, I got in front of this really slow driver and they made me really late. That could be one perspective. Or the next perspective could be, isn't it great because I could have missed an accident. This person was in front of me going slow, and I just know that I feel grateful for the people on Clopper Road that go 25 miles an hour on the way to church. See, that kind of perspective. I need to work on that. What is your consciousness? What is in your house? And so, it's the good news, folks. It's the good news of the bad news. Because if life is consciousness, if we create our life experience through the activity of our consciousness, I'm not saying that you create every single thing in your life. Please don't hear that. I'm saying that you create your experience of it through your consciousness. And so what that means, folks, it's the good news. Because if we don't like what we're experiencing in our life, if we're feeling scared, if we're feeling powerless, if we're feeling fearful, we can shift that consciousness to where we don't have to be a victim to what is showing up in our lives. Okay. So then he says, what do you have in your house? And the widow says, your servant has nothing in the house, only a jar of oil. Oh, I don't have anything. Nothing's happening for me. I only have this. I only have that. I can only do. Wah, wah. See, when we speak in this limited way, we are seeing through the lens of not enough. Because notice she said, I don't have anything, but I do have this little jar of oil. So, folks, the opportunity that we have when we're experiencing scarcity in our life is to open our eyes to the possibilities, to see the infinite abundance around us. What can we truly lack? Because there is infinite abundance, truly. So then Elijah says, go outside and borrow jugs and jars from all your neighbors, empty vessels, and not just a few. So Elijah represents spiritual wisdom. Okay, so you're experiencing some scarcity. So I just invite you to get still, turn within. What is mine to do? What is mine to know? Bing! Divine idea. Edie calls it her spiritual download. You know, those aha moments. Folks, that's how it works. Everything that's been created in life has started as a divine idea. You know, when we're experiencing scarcity, you know, I don't know if the rivers are going to part. I don't think that car is going to be removed from in front of me. But I can have a divine idea about how to handle something. Folks, that's your wisdom. So if you're experiencing scarcity and you go within and you pause and you ask, I don't know if really asking, you just, to me it's opening and allowing. What is mine to do? What is mine to know? Listen. Pay attention to the ideas that you get. Yeah. So what did she do? He told her to go out, and he told her to go reach out to her community. Folks, that's the point of community. Here we are, this beautiful community. If you're feeling scarce and you want to remember what you are, you come in here. You come here on a Sunday morning and you bring your pals that might be feeling a little bit less than or feeling like they don't have enough. Because that is the beauty of community. He was telling her, go reach out to community. Because it's something beautiful, you know, when two or more are gathered, they hold knowing with you. All right. I'm preaching. I feel it. Oh. I got my preach on. Scratch a minister, bleed a sermon. You know, I've heard that. Okay. So there were other instructions. Then go in and shut the door behind you and your sons and start pouring into all the vessels. When each is full, set it aside. So the empty vessels are our expanded consciousness that we're filling with a new faith, a new knowing, with possibility. Yeah, the yes. And shut the door behind you means don't look back. Be in the present moment. Shut it out. You're not about the past. Be here right now. Right here, right now. Stay clear in your knowing of your good. Shut the door behind you. You are not your past. Stay conscious. Keep your consciousness aligned with truth. And remember, oil is that divine substance. The divine substance that's everywhere present. It's the creative energy of the universe that can never be depleted. It's always flowing. So she left him and shut the door behind her and her children. Her sons kept bringing jars to her, and she continued pouring in the oil. And when all the jars were full, she said to her son, "Another jug, please." But he replied, "There are no more." See, the thing is, the substance is always flowing. It's always flowing, it's always flowing. And it'll flow into our life experience as long as we're open to it. But when we're not open to it, we're just not having that experience maybe. But see, with the jars running out means it's just as long as we're open, the substance just keeps pouring. The substance keeps pouring. And he said, "Go sell the oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on the money that remains." So she didn't get just enough to pay her bill. She got way more than enough. Way more than enough that she could live on for the rest of her days and support her sons. I'm sure she was ready for them to move out after a while, but what we're required, folks, we got to put our whole selves in. We got to put our whole selves in. We got to claim it. We got to know it. And there's one story I want to share to close from Prosperity Plus. There's a man that goes to the bank to cash a check, and he goes up to the teller and asks her to cash his check, but he doesn't want to put his name on it. "If I put my name on it, you might take my check and not give me the money." The teller responds, "Sir, that's just how it's done. You sign the check, and then I give you the money." And he says again, "Just give me the money this once." And finally she says, sir, I can't help you. You got to sign the check first. So he goes to another bank, and they tell him the same thing. And then he goes to a third bank, and he asks them the same thing, and he keeps insisting. And this particular teller gets really exasperated and pulls out from underneath her desk a rubber baseball bat and thunks the guy over the head with it and says, just sign the check already. And the guy signs the check and gets his money. And he goes back to the first teller and says, see, they cashed my check. And she goes, they told you the same thing. And the man said, yeah, but no one explained it to me like she did. Okay, this is a great example, folks. It didn't have to be that hard. You don't have to create drama. You just got to claim your good, folks. You don't have to be hit over the head by a cosmic 2x4, and we talk about that a lot in Unity. Oh, I got hit by the cosmic 2x4. Why? Why did you bring that into your life experience? Why did you feel like you needed that? You're enough. You are enough. It's an epidemic that we feel like we're not enough. We are enough. You are enough because you are infinite and you are beautiful and you are whole and you are abundance. You are infinite life with 2 legs, 2 arms walking on this planet. And folks, it is time for us to claim our infinite abundance. It is time for us to give from the wellspring of knowing that we are way more than enough. It truly is. You're worthy, you're deserving, you're whole, you're beautiful. The universe is magnificent. And when people are suffering like down in Puerto Rico and other places, those of us that are experiencing the bounty, we get to share from the wellspring of knowing we are way more than enough. There is way more than enough. Okay. Take a deep breath. All right, let's choose it. Let's claim it. Let's know it. And let's affirm together. As I claim my divine nature and trust the flow of infinite abundance, I experience having way more than enough. And so it is. Amen.